All right, a good Sunday evening, everybody. Hope you're having a good night. We're going to wait for everyone to join in, but while you do, if you have any questions, any comments, you can leave those down below. But we're going to be breaking down the latest on what you can expect for the winter weather. So with that being said, let's start things off. Good evening. I'm News 19 meteorologist Corey Smith, and we're going to start with the latest winter weather alerts across the viewing area. You can see north of I-20, so Kershaw, Fairfield, and Newberry counties under an ice storm warning still, and that's where we expect most of the big impacts with the system as it moves through over the next 24 hours. To the south, we have a winter weather advisory, and that means that we're still going to see winter weather, but not as widespread in the way of impacts. So we'll break down what you can expect, talk about what has changed from earlier on today. I know some of you guys probably tuned in for our live stream or our newscast earlier. There's been some slight tweaks to the forecast and what we can expect. But first off, let's talk about the weather in Columbia right now. We're sitting at 42 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, and the winds out of the east-northeast, 13 miles per hour. That wind direction out of the east-northeast is what's going to be cooling us down overnight. That's going to get us close to freezing in many locations. And that's why we are concerned about freezing weather or freezing precipitation as we go through this event. And you're going to see temperatures across the viewing area have gotten a little bit cooler over the last few hours. We're sitting at 39 in Newberry and Winsboro, 42 in Columbia, 43 in St. Matthews, and 44 in Orangeburg. By the time that we really get going in this event, I think temperatures should be down another 3 to 4 degrees once rain starts to fall right around midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning. As for tomorrow, this looks to be mostly a morning event. So you're going to see 6 o'clock in the morning. We're seeing a very cold, if not freezing rain at 31 degrees, 32 at 9 a.m. into the upper 30s though, as you head towards midday here in Columbia. And that's the thing, is depending on where you're at in the Midlands, where we see those freezing temperatures changes during the time of the day. So we'll walk you through what to expect, but let's talk about our system right now. You can see the area of low pressure right now. It's centered over Mississippi, but you can see all of that snow on the back end of it over Arkansas right now. A lot of heavy precipitation moving through Alabama and Georgia right now in the form of rain. And we're starting to see some rain move into portions of eastern Georgia, so towards Augusta. And we're actually picking it up on the Columbia radar right now, but nothing really in the Midlands as of yet. We don't really expect things to start to fall from the sky until we get a little bit closer to midnight, but we can't rule out some drizzle and mist towards Aiken County right now, as we start to see some of those radar returns showing up as we go throughout the next hour. But the main event doesn't really start until we head into the overnight. You're going to see this is 2:30 in the morning, so we've moved things forward a little bit, and you can see a lot of that heavy precipitation already moving in. You can see some icy mix in the northern portions of the viewing area, and this is going to continue to work east. Notice how that pink or the wintry mix expands as we get around 4 a.m., and that's when things really start to get going across the Midlands, and where I expect probably for road conditions to start to deteriorate probably around that 4 to 6 o'clock time frame. You can see really across almost the entire viewing area, we're seeing that frozen precipitation, and it's going to be heavy. You can see those radar returns where it's not frozen in the moderate to heavy category. Well, that's still happening. It's just pink here because it's a frozen precipitation on the radar on the model. So pretty decent rainfall rates with this expected. We're expecting over an inch of rain with this event, and you're going to see this continues through about midday. After that, some drier air moving in behind the system. We can't rule out a couple snowflakes, I think, as you go towards the afternoon and evening in our north and western counties, but for most of us, not seeing any snow, not expecting any accumulation across the Midland. It is going to be a windy day tomorrow and Monday, as well as the system exits the region. So let's talk about what we can expect as we go forward. We're going to be cloudy through the next few hours here for the most part. We can't rule out drizzle towards the western portion of the viewing area, but by about midnight is when we expect some of that more steady precipitation to fall. And you can see already, this is 2 o'clock in the morning, we're seeing snow in the upstate, and we're starting to see a wintry mix form in our northern counties, so Fairfield, Newberry counties, where it's sitting in the middle 30s. As we push things forward around 4 a.m., starting to see those freezing freezing temperatures in those northern communities, but not really reaching I-20 yet. And that's something we'll have to watch, is how quickly these freezing temperatures really move to the south through this event. That's going to determine a lot of how much freezing rain we're going to accumulate. So that's going to be a pretty big deal there, and something we can't really tell until it's actually happening. But you can see by 6 a.m. the model does have most of the viewing area at or below freezing. At that point in time, we would expect freezing rain to start accumulating on elevated surfaces, so bridges, overpasses, trees, and power lines. And then as we head towards the late morning hours, you're going to start to see this pink go back up to the north as our temperatures start to warm. We're back into the middle 30s by 11 o'clock here in Columbia, Sumter, Orangeburg, sitting at 44 degrees. We're sitting at 37 in Aiken. And then as we get towards midday, that's when most of the steady precipitation starts to wear off. We could see some wintry mix moving in behind the system, but overall, I do think that we're pretty much done with the event there. In the terms of precipitation, we're still going to be windy and have some cold weather behind it that we'll talk about, because there is the possibility of some black ice as we start off your Monday morning, thanks to those temperatures that get pretty low. So with that being said, let's talk about the freezing rain, since that's really the biggest concern with this system. And you'll see there's really three categories, at least, that we put freezing rain into. And the first is the minor category, which is anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of accumulation. And that can make bridges and overpasses slippery. We'll see some ice accumulate on plants and trees, but it doesn't really cause a lot of issues. Once we get over 1/4 of an inch, though, that's sort of the weight of the ice on these things, so the power lines and the trees start to cause some damage. We'll see some branches down and some scattered power outages, and then of course, as we get above 1/2 inch, that's where things really start to get dicey. We'll start to see widespread tree damage. The roads themselves could become icy, as well as widespread power outages, which could be possible in portions of the northern Midlands as you go tomorrow. So let's actually talk about the ice forecast. And you're going to see, this is our in-house model putting out 1/4 of an inch or so across Aiken, Lexington, and Richland counties. And then as you head north towards Saluda, Newberry, Fairfield, and northern Kershaw counties, we're seeing 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 inch of ice or more. If this does verify, well, that's where we're going to see the widespread power outages, and that's why we have ice storm warnings north of I-20s, because right now the thinking is that's probably going to be the best area, at least for this setup, to probably see some of those higher amounts of ice. Another forecast model, the NAM, putting a similar picture. The totals aren't as impressive, but you can see that we have those higher ice totals north of I-20. Columbia, Lexington still around 1/4 of an inch. But notice to the south, really not seeing much, and that's because we're going to be a cold rain for most of this event. So walking you through what we can expect, the northern Midlands, the main concern is going to be freezing rain. Some sleet will be mixing in at times, and maybe a couple snowflakes, but really, it's all about the freezing rain. As for the central Midlands and right along the I-20 corridor, we're going to be seeing freezing rain, maybe some sleet mixed in at times, and then we're going to switch over to a cold rain as you get right around 10 to 12 o'clock tomorrow, right around midday. So that should end things there. And if you live in the southern Midlands, so to the south and east of I-20, well, things should wrap up for you by mid to late morning, at least in the terms of freezing precipitation. By that time, we'll switch over to a cold rain as temperatures get well above the freezing point there. So what to expect for tomorrow? Well, this is going to start as an overnight event. Around 3 to 4 a.m. is when most of that heavier precipitation starts to move in, and you'll see that really ramp up through about midday like we talked about. That's when things start to really quiet down, at least precipitation wise. And then the wind chills are going to be low as well, especially in the northern Midlands. We'll be seeing wind chills thanks to wind speeds around 10 to 20 miles per hour reach the teens. So it's going to be a very chilly morning as you go throughout your Sunday. Of course, icy conditions really ramping up around 4 to 6 a.m. that lasts through about midday. And we can't rule out some snowflakes, especially in the northern and western Midlands as we go throughout this event, but really not expecting any accumulations. So that's really not much of a concern right now. What is also a concern, though, is as you go into Monday morning, any of the liquid precipitation that's left on the roads, well, we're going to be reaching right around freezing Monday morning. We could see some black ice, especially on the bridges and overpasses, and if that does become the case, could make for a pretty slippery commute on your way to work on Monday. If you do have work, thankfully it is a holiday, so it looks like schools and everything should be canceled, so less drivers on the road. But we will see that chance of some black ice as we go through Monday morning. So if you don't need to be out over Sunday or Monday morning, I'd probably just stay in. That's probably my recommendation at this point with all this slippery weather moving through. Take a look at a 7-day forecast. So we have that ice storm warning in effect, as well as a winter weather advisory for your Sunday with the wintry mix moving through. That wraps up right around midday, a high of 39 degrees. As we go into Monday, cold start, 32 degrees, and it will be pretty breezy on Monday, but we have the sunshine back at least up to 44. Past that, well, we warm up a little bit. We're going to be back into the 50s, if you can call that warm. We're partly cloudy conditions. And then we're going to keep an eye on the end of this week. We're going to see an Arctic front move through. Likely the coldest weather we've seen so far this season, pushing in as we go Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. The chance of some precipitation moving in on Friday with a high of 43 degrees, maybe even some teens for Saturday and Sunday morning coming up. With that really Arctic air moving in. So looks like winter is sticking around for a while. Now, of course, as we go forward, you can keep up to the latest forecast on WLTX.com. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, as well as join our WLTX Weather Watchers Facebook group. We'd absolutely love to have you guys there. You can send us in your photos or your videos and let us know what's going on in your backyard. And then, of course, you can always download the News 19 app on the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. So make sure to download that today. But that should wrap everything up, guys. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave those in the comments and we'll try to get to those later. But stay warm and stay safe, everybody.